time, you remember, Bullwinkle had astounded the Bumbling Brothers Circus by taming a lion with music. This was sad news for Claude Badley, the old lion tamer, who only tamed old lions. He was tossed out on his ear.
Boy, am I going to make things hot for those guys.
How?
Like I said, make things hot for them.
Oh, for heaven's sake!
Now we gotta...
Fire!
Quick, get the fire hose.
Man the pump!
Ready, men. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
But alas, as the crew started to pump water...
Hokey smoke, the hose is full of holes!
What could have happened?
I'll bet that Mr. Badley had a hand in this.
And guess which hand, Natasha?
The one with the ice peak in it, darling.
You guessed, you clever little Dickens, you.
This is terrible, Rock.
Yeah, come on. We're going to the elephants.
You mean going to the dog?
I mean elephants.
Yeah, think big.
But Rocky had a definite plan in mind. With Bullwinkle's help, he led all the circus elephants to the water tank and lined them up.
That's it, Bullwinkle.
Well, you can water the elephants if you want to, Rock. I'm going to fight that fire.
Yeah, but... Oh, dear. Okay, fellas, get a big snoot full of water. Now, elevation 30 degrees. Right 3 degrees. Range 50 yards. Open fire!
Meanwhile, at the fire, Bullwinkle was just ready to heave a bucket of water when...
The fire's out.
Gee, I don't know my own strength.
Rocky, that was
Sensational.
stupendous.
Super colossal.
Even adequate.
Gee, thanks, Hugo.
I'm not Hugo, I'm Igo.
Are you sure?
Wait, I look in my hat. Yeah, I'm Igo.
Well, fellas, I did it.
Did what?
Put the fire out. I cannot tell a lie. I did it with my little bucket.
No, Bullwinkle.
It was really Rocky.
And the elephants.
Elephants? How could an elephant put out a fire? You could have just told me.
Well, that was the beginning of a new career for both our boys. Bullwinkle as a lion tamer, Rocky as an elephant trainer.
Ladies,
And gentlemen,
presenting in the center ring,
that's this one.
the world's greatest lion tamer,
Bullwinkle.
the musical moose.
Yes, Bullwinkle had a sensational act. To the music of the honeycomb, the lions formed pyramids. They leaped through hoops. They even danced. For a grand finale, Bullwinkle would put his head in a lion's mouth. And for an encore, a lion would put his head in Bullwinkle's mouth.
Turnabout's fair play, I always say.
But there was one person who wasn't sharing in the fun. Claude Badley, the former lion tamer.
Rag flab the deck blagged flab.
Please, Boris, such language.
I'm going to get even with the whole circus, Natasha.
How, darling?
Easy. I go to the fireside book of fiendish plans under S.
S.
For circus.
Darling, circus starts with C.
And you know how it ends?
How?
Kaboom! Look at this.
And as Natasha looked at the plan Boris had in mind, her hair turned white.
Not white, darling. Ash blonde.
Oh. Well, anyway, be sure to see our next Big Top episode, The Show Must Go On, or Give 'em the Axe.
And now it's time
For 5 or 6 baritone solos in the key of E.
But
Midnight. Ooh.
now for another of our special features.
Should have tried E flat.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the...
Hi, Dad. Where are you going?
Baseball park, son.
Gonna see a game?
No, I'm donating this bag to the team. Seems that during the game yesterday, some scallywag stole second base and...
Pop, you don't understand.
disgraceful act.
But, Dad, when a player steals second...
I also thought I'd hang this out in the bleachers. Honesty is the best policy. You like it?
Oh, it's keen, Dad. But about second base...
Speaking of honesty is the best policy, have I ever related the fable of the frogs and the beaver?
You see, Dad, a man on first is allowed to run to second when he...
Once upon a time, there was a lake. Now, this lake was set so deep in the forest that it was virtually uninhabited, which meant that no one lived there. Well, practically no one. For you see, a beaver had come across this lovely spot and built a resort home right on the shore. Now, our fable could have ended right there, and everything would have been lovey-dovey, if it weren't for two frogs that happened to come along. Their names, Romeo and Julius.
That is what I call gracious living.
Gracious, yes.
How comes that beavers has always got the easy life?
Yeah. Why do us frogs always have to live on a lily pad?
Julius, if that is your name, let us take this home away from yon beaver.
Romeo had a plan. It was both ingenious and colorful.
Hey, Romeo, what's the big idea?
You are sick. That's right, Beaver. My friend here is in dire distress.
Got a frog in my throat.
No, you have not. You got the pox.
Chicken pox?
Frog pox.
And with that, Julius went into a frenzied exhibition of a frog with the 7-year itch. Of course, the unsuspecting beaver was scared out of his wits, not to mention the house. Well, sir, inside of 1 week, the once charming little retreat was turned into a shamble.
Now, the runner on first has to keep his eye on the catcher, Dad.
That little beaver, though, was as industrious as they come. He got as far away from the frogs as he could and erected a small but comfortable cabin. However, the cabin wasn't far enough away from those frogs.
That is what I call rustic living.
Gracious, yes. I mean rustic, yes.
I like this place much better than the joint we're in now.
Once more, the clever frog launched a plan.
That frog, he's busting my pipe.
That beaver happens to be the famous forest ranger, Smokey the Frog. He's just putting a fire out.
Oh, my goodness. I suppose he'll want to confiscate my matches, too, huh?
Oh, you should never say the word matches. It sends Smokey into a veritable rage. Makes him mad, too.
The beaver took off again, leaving the frogs his second place.
Did you say second base?
Second place. This time, it took the frogs only 3 days to demolish their new abode. And although 3 days isn't much time, it was all the beaver required to construct a rambling hacienda right beside a roaring river.
Now, that's what I call hacienda living. Hey, ain't you gonna say hacienda, yes?
I can't speak Spanish.
Oh. Well, seeing as how our present premises is a shambles, let us swindle our way into this place.
You have to give the frog credit. He had an unlimited supply of plans. But so did the beaver.
Now look, I put the fire out and I've given myself a case of frog pox, so it's no use trying to intimidate me any further.
Oh, we wouldn't intimidate you for the world, Beaver.
Besides, I didn't build this house for myself. Who did you build it for? You.
The frogs were shocked, but not so shocked that they didn't move in and make themselves at home. As for the beaver, this was all part of a cunning scheme in which he'd be free of the frogs once and for all, because you see, haciendas are made of dry mud. And you know what happens to dry mud when it's hit by rain. It becomes wet mud. Yes, sir, inside of Nothing Flat, that hacienda slid into the roaring river. And as for the frogs inside it, they were carried off by the current, never to be seen again. At least not on this show. And that's why I always say honesty is the best policy.
You could also say grime does not pay.
Yeah, I could, but I won't. Well, bye-bye, son. I've got to deliver this second base.
Well, there goes Pop. Generous as they come. Oh, my gosh. I just happened to think. Supposing there's a game today and somebody steals home.
Well, the Bumbling Brothers Circus has a new attraction, thanks to the magical powers of Bullwinkle's fabulous honeycomb. For with the music of his tissue paper comb, he has become the world's most famous wild animal tamer.
Come and see him!
Bullwinkle moose!
And his toe-tapping tigers!
Okay, fellas. And the 1, and the 2, and...
Yes, to the tune of Bullwinkle's honeycomb, the animals did things never before seen in any circus ring. What's more, they seemed to love their trainer. At the end of each performance, they carried him off on their shoulders.
Boy, Bullwinkle, you're sensational.
Okay, fellas, break it up. Oh!
Of course, all the customers loved the act.
Yay!
All except 2.
Boo!
And they weren't exactly customers. They had sneaked in under the tent wall.
Snitch.
Come on, Natasha, we consult Fireside Book of Fiendish Plans.
Boris, we can walk out with everybody else.
Please, Natasha, I'm a professional sneak.
So?
I sneaked in, I sneak out.
Of course, the 2 circus owners, Hugo and I Go Bumbling, were delighted with the new act.
Boys, the circus is simply rolling in that green stuff.
And you know what green stuff we mean?
Spinach?
Chlorophyll?
Money!
Oh, that.
But unfortunately, their relation was short-lived, for as the circus swung south into Nevada and Arizona, they ran into...
Rain!
Rain?
In Arizona?
In Nevada?
In August?
Impossible!
Yes, for day after day, the circus wagon splashed through the mud, or tried to.
Boy, this wagon is really stuck.
Hey, how do we get out of this mud?
Mud? What's mud?
You kidding? It's what you get when you mix earth and rain.
What's rain?
This is rain.
I gonnies, I thought it was a mirage. But it never rains in Arizona in August.
There is less rain in August than any other month.
Well, how much is there in the other month?
None.
That ought to make August pretty dry all night.
Of course, there's nothing that's less fun than a soggy circus, so the attendants fell off sharply.
Hugo, there's only 2 people in the audience.
And I got a confession, I go. One of them is my mother-in-law.
That's funny.
Why?
The other one is my mother-in-law.
Of course, it wasn't long before the cash box was empty, and still the circus rolled disconsolately from town to town. But strange as it seems, as soon as it left the town, the sun came out and shone brightly.
Bullwinkle, those rain clouds seem to be following us.
Was it something we said?
And that's pretty strange. I think I'll go up and take a look.
You mean?
Yeah, give me a toss up there.
Right, Rock.
Where are you fellas going?
We're out to lunch.
Okay, Bullwinkle, let's go. Holly!
And Bullwinkle flung the plucky squirrel into the air. Up, up, up he went. But just as he reached the clouds, he happened to glance down and...
Hokey smoke, Bullwinkle. I see it all now.
Well, you should. You're high enough.
No, I know what's making it rain on our circus.
But at that moment, the sharp-eyed squirrel zoomed into a cloud bank and...
Come in, Rocky. Come in, Rocky.
But not a word more could Bullwinkle hear. And what's more, Rocky didn't emerge from the cloud bank.
Come out, Rocky. Come out, Rocky.
Well, things look pretty bad.
Yeah, maybe if I comb my hair a different way.
And even worse, at that very second, million-volt charges of lightning began to flash through the cloud. Don't fail to see our next episode, Loony Lightning, or Nuts and Bolts.
And now for the uninformed, here's the biggest informer of them all, Mr. Know-It-All.
Greetings, brain builder-uppers. Today's subject is swimming can be fun and wet. Now, in order to swim, one must have a pool. And in order to have a pool, one must have a hole. One here. After lining the hole with cement, fill it with H2O's, which is soft water. We are now ready for our fun. There are many ways of entering the pool, but the best way is via the diving board. Of course, it does help if you put the board over the pool. Once in the water, there are many things you can do, like swimming. Now, for all you neophytes, those are swimmers made out of rubber, it is a good idea to start with the dog paddle. Yeah, chewed the paddle up a little, didn't you? The second most widely used stroke is the butterfly. Before entering the water, wave the arms like a butterfly and...
What do you know? An antlered fire-winged goofus.
Put me down!
A talking antlered fire-winged goofus.
Oh, well. Even if you can't swim, just get yourself an old inner tube, put it around your middle, and jump in.
Thank you, Mr. Know-It-All. Mr. Know-It-All? And now...
Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
But that trick never worked.
This time for sure. Presto! Well, I'm getting close.
And now it's time for another special feature.
In the mountainous region of northwest Canada, at the close of the 19th century, perched on a particular mountain overlooking a gorge, Snidely Whiplash and Homer sat waiting.
What are we doing here, Snidely?
You see this particular rock, Homer?
Yeah?
Well, this is called flicker rock because it is so delicately balanced that with a flick of your finger you can send it hurtling to the ground below.
So?
Well, I happen to know that Dudley Do-Right always rides under this rock at exactly 4:33 CMT, Canadian Mountain Time. So when he passes under the rock, I give it a flick and no more Do-Right.
Gee, Snidely, that's an unpleasant thing to do.
4:32, 4:33, flick!
Anything unusual happened today, Do-Right?
No, Inspector. Except after I rode out of the gorge, I had a very peculiar ringing in my head. How did you do that, Inspector?
Do what?
That thing you did with the birds and the bells.
Birds and bells? Are you feeling all right, Dudley?
We'll all be killed! Look out for the train, Inspector! Certainly are a cool one, Inspector. You just sat there and let that train whiz right by you.
Dudley?
Yes, Inspector?
There was no train in this room.
No train, but I saw it. There was this chugga-chuggity-chuggity-chuggity, you know.
Dudley, there was no train, there were no birds, there were no bells.
Well, how about that horrible creature sitting on top of your head right now?
Where? What?
Don't worry, Inspector. I'll kill it.
Guards! Guards, arrest him!
Wait. Look out, here comes another train!
Will you Mounties come out from under that table and take this nut away?
That engineer must be mad.
What was that all about, Father?
I can't understand it. It was his old zippy do-right self this morning.
Oh, look out there. Here they come again there.
Dudley, what happened to you?
Why, nothing, Nell. I was just riding home by my usual route, and I felt a slight tingling sensation on my head. Look out!
The mouse!
Nope, it's a 16-foot polar bear. Strange, polar bears this time of year, but it's all right, Nell. It walked on by.
Polar bear? Oh, Dudley, you're sick. I'm going to find out how this horrible thing happened to you.
All right, Nell, but wait till these buffaloes go by.
So Nell set out retracing Dudley Do-Right's route to camp, hoping to find the reason for Dudley's strange behavior.
That's odd. Flicker Rock is missing. But wait a minute. There it is, with a tremendous dent in its side. It was flicked, and I'll bet the flicker who flicked Flicker Rock was you, Snidely Whiplash.
But Nell, I only meant to flatten him. I didn't mean him any real harm.
Well, you did him harm.
Homer, this is terrible.
What's so terrible? Do-Right's a kook.
But it was bad enough being chased by a sane Do-Right, but to be chased by some nuts. I must confess, I did flick a rock. But after I flicked a rock, I had a moment of regret. You don't know how relieved I was when Dudley Do-Right of the Mounties rode on, head up, body erect, and now a hopeless nut.
A dangerous maniac.
We've got to help him, Homer. We've got to help that boy. Is he muzzled?
Nell, what are you doing with that 6-foot weasel?
You see, Homer, he doesn't like me.
And that gopher in the baggy pants.
He ain't exactly in love with me, neither.
But that's all right, Nell, because the birds are taking over the world. Soon there won't be another living thing, just these horrible birds.
Oh, for goodness sake. So you see, Nell, if we take him back here to the scene of the crime...
Watch your mouth.
So to speak, perhaps it would all come back to him.
Oh, my head, such a head. Wow-wee, what a headache. Say, it's all coming back. Somebody bounced a rock off my head, and that somebody could only be you, Snidely Whiplash.
Come on, Doctor. He's cured.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dudley.
Nell, you mean I'm completely cured? I'll never see those birds again?
Yes, Dudley. As soon as you realized it was Snidely who pushed the rock, you were cured.
No, the birds are back! The birds are back!
Can I help you, I've decided to become a pigeon fancier. Every man has a right to a hobby.
Well, in our last episode, the Bumbling Brothers Circus had fallen on hard times. It had rained steadily for weeks and weeks. Rocky, in an attempt to see what was causing the freakish weather, zoomed upward into the clouds.
I can see it all now, Bullwinkle. It's...
But at that moment, he disappeared into a cloud bank, and an instant later...
Jumpin' G-Horsefat! He'll be matriculated!
Stunned by the massive dose of electricity, the plucky squirrel was dropping limply through space. A pitiful little furry bundle. Then, just when it seemed that all was lost...
Holy smoke! I landed in the back seat of a plane.
Yes, a mysterious black airplane had inadvertently saved our hero from a grisly fate.
Hey, thanks a lot, Mr. Pilot. Mr. Hokey Smoke, there's nobody there.
It was true. The front cockpit empty, the black plane flew on pilotless.
And what's more, there's no control.
That was true, too. So it was with a great deal of relief that Rocky saw that the plane was headed for a safe landing on a high mesa. No sooner had the wheels stopped rolling than Rocky leaped from the cockpit.
I gotta get back to the circus with a nose. I got...
You got caught. That's what you got.
And Rocky stared upward into the stony features of a huge scowling Indian. Meanwhile, back at the big top...
Cheer up, Bullwinkle.
The show must go on.
Must go on what?
I don't know, it's just something.
We always say at times like this.
And the show did go on. That night, Bullwinkle's animal act was a tribute to his little friend. All the lions and tigers stood at attention and saluted, while Bullwinkle hummed taps. Then they mournfully spelled out Rocky with white begonias, almost. Meanwhile, in the town square outside, the Bumbling Brothers were unveiling a statue of Rocky made out of genuine... Hey, wait, that's not Rocky.
We know. It's really a Thaddeus J. Schlump.
We added the goggles and tail ourselves.
But why?
We got a special low price.
The statue was already in the park.
The mayor sold it to us.
And he threw in this brass cannon, too.
Now, hold on. The mayor sold you a statue and a brass cannon?
Certainly, it was such a bargain.
We couldn't pass it up.
And here he is now.
Allow me to introduce myself. Mayor Avarice J. Ward Healer.
Are you kidding? We already met the mayor this afternoon, and you aren't him.
Well, you're mad today, Mayor, that's why.
And you're...
The night Mayor.
I should have known.
And further, if you'll notice the color from my beard, I'm
You're also the old gray mayor.
You know, Hugo, I think Bullwinkle's right.
That's impossible.
I think this fella's a crook.
That's possible.
What fella?
Sure enough, at the first hint of danger, Boris had skedaddled.
After him!
And our friend started off after the false mayor, leaving the park to a pair of seedy old-timers.
That certainly don't look like the Thaddeus Schlump I knew, Chauncey.
You mean the tail, Edgar?
The tail I knew about. I just never saw him wear glasses.
And meanwhile, what of Rocky himself? Well, he's tied to a stake in the middle of a mesa, awaiting heaven knows what.
Yeah, what are we waiting for?
We wait for Big Chief.
It's pretty cold out here, you know.
No worry. We build fire for you.
And our hero's captor set fire to a pile of branches on which he was standing.
Hey, you can't do that.
Who say?
The network say, quote, no cannibalism on TV, unquote.
We don't eat you, just roast you.
Oh, well, I guess that's okay then.
And the network-approved flames licked higher and higher. Don't miss our next episode, The Fire Chaser, or Bullwinkle Goes to Blazes.
Time for Bullwinkle's Corner.
Hi, culture lovers. Today's poem is a stirring saga of forest conservation. Woodman, spare that tree. Woodman, spare that tree. Touch not a single bough.
Hello, kiddo.
In youth it sheltered me, and I'll protect it. Hey, what you doing with that axe?
What else? I'm shaving.
Oh, that old familiar tree that...
Timber!
Now hold on. That old familiar tree, whose glory and renown are spread o'er land and sea. And wouldst thou hew it down?
You said it, Buster.
All three the storm still brave, and woodman leave the spot, while I've a hand to save, thy axe shall hurt it not. Well, that's gratitude for you.